I woke up 3 days after my accident to the steady beep of hospital monitors and a throat raw from intubation. Tubes snaked from my arms. My chest ached with every breath, and when I tried to move, pain shot through my entire body like lightning. The surgeon appeared at my bedside and told me something that made my blood run cold. I had coded twice on the operating table. My spleen had ruptured. Internal bleeding had nearly killed me. I reached for my phone with shaking hands and saw 53 messages from friends and co-workers, all frantic and worried. But from my parents and sister, nothing. Not a single call. Not one text. They had been at my sister Cassandra's charity gala that same night, and my mother had told everyone I was being overdramatic about a fender bender. To understand how I ended up alone and dying in that hospital, you need to understand my family. My name is Dion Brennan, and I am 28 years old. I work as a civil engineer for a mid-sized firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. My life is structured, reliable, and honestly, pretty ordinary. My younger sister, Cassandra, is 25, and her life is the exact opposite of mine. She is a social media influencer with 300,000 followers and calls herself a philanthropist. She hosts charity events, partners with brands, and lives in a constant spotlight of her own creation. Our parents are Richard and Patricia Brennan. My father built his fortune in commercial real estate development, turning old warehouses into trendy loft apartments and strip malls into mixed-use communities. My mother was a pageant queen back in the 80s, Miss North Carolina runner-up, and she never quite left that world behind. She sits on charity boards, hosts luncheons, and measures her worth in social currency. Growing up, I learned early that Cassandra was the star and I was the stagehand. When she wanted to try ballet, my parents rented out a studio for her private lessons. When I asked to join the robotics club, they said it was too expensive and I should find a free after-school activity. When Cassandra got a B- in history, my father hired a tutor. When I brought home straight A's, my mother said that was nice and asked if I had seen Cassandra's latest Instagram post. I told myself it was fine. I was the older sibling. I was supposed to be more independent. I was the reliable one, the one who did not make waves or need constant attention. I lowered my expectations year by year until they were buried so deep I forgot I had ever had any. 6 months before my accident, I got promoted to senior project engineer. It was a big deal. A corner office, a substantial raise, and leadership responsibilities on a major infrastructure project. I made reservations at my favorite steakhouse and invited my parents to celebrate with me. They confirmed twice. I showed up at 7 o'clock sharp, wearing my good suit, feeling proud and hopeful. They never came. At 7:30, my mother called. Cassandra needed help choosing between 2 dresses for a brand partnership event. It was apparently a crisis. They were at the mall with her and could not leave. My mother promised they would reschedule. We never did. That was my life. A series of canceled plans, forgotten promises, and excuses that always centered on Cassandra. But I accepted it because what else could I do? They were my family. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday evening, 3 days before Cassandra's biggest charity gala yet. She had spent 2 years planning this event to raise money for children's hospitals. The irony of that would hit me later. I had been working late at a construction site inspection off Independence Boulevard. The project was behind schedule, and I needed to review the structural reinforcements before we could pour the foundation. I left the site around 9 o'clock at night. The roads were quiet, just the usual scattered traffic. I was thinking about stopping for food, maybe calling Marcus to see if he wanted to grab a beer. The light ahead of me was green. I entered the intersection. I never saw the truck coming. The drunk driver ran the red light doing at least 60 miles per hour and slammed into the driver's side of my pickup. The impact was so violent that my truck spun completely around before hitting a traffic pole. Metal crushed inward. Glass exploded. My head cracked against something hard. When the world stopped spinning, I could not breathe right. Every attempt to inhale felt like knives in my chest. Blood was everywhere, though I could not tell where it was all coming from. Someone was screaming. It took me a moment to realize it was me. Paramedics arrived fast, thank God. They cut me out of the wreckage and loaded me onto a stretcher. One of them kept saying I was going to be okay, but his eyes told a different story. In the ambulance, with sirens wailing and lights flashing, I managed to grab my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock it. I called my parents. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. So I texted my mother. Been in bad accident. Going to CMC emergency. Please come. The ambulance raced through red lights. My chest felt like it was caving in. The paramedic adjusted my oxygen mask and told me to stay calm, but I could see him exchanging worried looks with his partner. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. My mother had texted back, "Honey, we're at Cassandra's final gala rehearsal. How bad is it? Can it wait until morning? Dad says you're probably fine. You've always been tough." I stared at those words until they blurred. The ambulance hit a bump and pain exploded through my torso. I typed back with trembling fingers, "Mom, I can barely breathe. Something's really wrong. I'm scared." Her response came 5 minutes later. "Don't be so dramatic, Dion. Well, come by tomorrow. Cassandra needs us tonight. You understand?" I did understand. I understood perfectly. I had always understood. That was the problem. The emergency room was chaos. Doctors swarmed me immediately. They cut off my clothes, stuck needles in my arms, shouted medical terms I did not recognize. Someone pressed on my abdomen and I nearly passed out from the pain. A doctor with kind eyes leaned over me and said they needed to do a scan right away. Internal injuries. Possible internal bleeding. I tried calling my parents again while they wheeled me to imaging. No answer. The CT scan revealed what everyone feared. My spleen had been ruptured in the impact. Blood was pooling in my abdominal cavity. I needed emergency surgery immediately, or I would die. A nurse asked if I had family nearby. I told her I had called them. She asked if she should try. I gave her the numbers. She stepped out to call while doctors prepped me for the operating room. She came back, shaking her head. No answer. My best friend Marcus showed up 20 minutes before they took me to surgery. The hospital had called him as my emergency contact after my parents did not respond. He burst through the curtain, pale and terrified. Marcus and I had been friends since college. He was the brother I should have had by blood. He grabbed my hand and promised me I would be fine. I made him promise me something else. I made him promise not to tell my parents how bad it really was. I wanted to see if they would come on their own. I needed to know. They wheeled me into surgery around 11 o'clock at night. The anesthesiologist told me to count backward from 10. I made it to 7 before everything went black. Marcus told me later that the surgery took 4 hours, that there were complications, that my blood pressure crashed twice and the surgical team had to work frantically to bring me back. He said he sat alone in that waiting room, trying over and over to reach my parents. He finally got through to my mother at midnight. She sounded annoyed that he had interrupted. "Marcus, we're at dinner after the rehearsal." "Can this wait?" Marcus told her I was in surgery, that it was serious, that I had coded on the table. There was a pause. Then my mother said something Marcus repeated to me word for word, because he could not believe it himself. "Oh my God. Well, the surgeon's handling it, right? We can't leave now. We're hosting this dinner. Well, come first thing in the morning." Marcus was so shocked he could not speak. My mother continued, "Marcus, you don't understand. Cassandra's gala represents 2 years of work. Dion would want us to be here for his sister. Hess always been so understanding. Tell him we love him when he wakes up." Then she hung up. Marcus sat in that waiting room until dawn, alone, while my parents slept peacefully at home after their dinner party. I woke up in the ICU around 7 the next morning. Everything hurt. Tubes were down my throat, in my arms, monitoring every function of my failing body. A nurse noticed I was awake and called for the doctor. The surgeon explained what had happened. Emergency splenectomy, massive blood loss. I had coded twice. Another 30 minutes and they would have lost me. I asked if my family was there. The nurse checked her records and shook her head gently. "No family has come yet. But your friend Marcus stayed all night. He just went to get coffee." I reached for my phone. No missed calls from my parents. No texts. I opened Instagram, some masochistic impulse making me check. My mother had posted 3 hours ago, a photo of her and my father in their bed at home, both in matching silk pajamas, smiling at the camera. The caption read, Exhausted but excited. 2 more days until Cassandra's big night. Need our rest for the final preparations. They had gone home and slept, peacefully, while I died and came back and died again on an operating table. Marcus came back carrying 2 cups of terrible hospital coffee. He sat down heavily in the chair beside my bed. His eyes were red. He looked like he had aged 5 years overnight. He told me everything. What my mother had said, how they had reacted, how they had chosen a dinner party over my life. I did not cry. I did not rage. I just lay there, feeling something fundamental break inside my chest that had nothing to do with the surgery. Marcus was furious enough for both of us. Dude, this is insane. They're your parents. I know, I whispered. It's always been like this. I just never saw it so clearly before. In that moment, something shifted. Some door closed inside me that I had kept propped open my entire life, always hoping they would finally walk through it. I was done hoping. Around 10 o'clock that morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Cassandra. Hey, big bro. Heard you had a little car accident. Hope you're okay. Listen, I know you're probably resting, but I desperately need your opinion on the seating chart for the gala. Can you look at this and get back to me by tonight? You're the best. Attached was a file, a seating chart. She wanted me to help plan her party. No questions about my surgery, no concern about my condition, no acknowledgement that I had nearly died, just her need for help with place cards and table arrangements. Marcus read the text over my shoulder. His jaw actually dropped. That was the moment, that single text message. It showed me with perfect clarity what I had always been to my family. Not a son, not a brother, just a supporting character in their story. Useful when needed, invisible when not. I saved that text. I would save everything that came after. Because I knew, lying there in that hospital bed with tubes in my arms and a hole where my spleen used to be, that I was about to disappear from their lives, and I wanted to remember exactly why. The day passed in a haze of pain medication and vital sign checks. Nurses came and went. Marcus stayed, refusing to leave even when I told him to go home. He brought me ice chips because I could not have water yet. He changed the channel when the news got too depressing. He just sat there, being present, which was more than my actual family had ever done. My parents finally showed up at 2 in the afternoon. I heard them before I saw them. My mother's voice carried down the hallway, bright and cheerful, talking to someone on her phone. Oh, we're just stopping by the hospital to check on Dion. Yes, he's fine. Just a little accident. Well, see you tonight at the venue. They swept into my room like celebrities gracing a fan with their presence. My mother wore a designer pantsuit and her hair was freshly styled. My father had on golf clothes. They had clearly just come from the country club and were on their way to gala preparations. Oh, sweetie, look at you. My mother said it like I was a child who had scraped his knee, not a grown man who had nearly bled out 12 hours earlier. We've been so worried. My father checked his watch. Son, glad you're all right. We knew you were tough. The gala's tonight. We can't stay long. They stayed exactly 12 minutes. I know because I watched the clock on the wall, counting each second, wondering if they would ask a single meaningful question about my condition. They did not. My mother talked the entire time about Cassandra's dress, the menu, the seating arrangements that apparently were still causing drama. My father checked his phone 4 times. Neither of them asked about the surgery. Neither asked about my prognosis or recovery time or whether I was in pain. Finally, as they were preparing to leave, my mother leaned down and kissed my forehead. You understand why we couldn't come right away, don't you? Cassandra needed us. This event is so important for her brand. I said nothing. I just looked at them with new eyes, seeing them clearly for perhaps the first time in my life. My father patted my foot through the blanket. You'll be back on your feet in no time. Brennans are tough. As they walked toward the door, my mother turned back. Oh, and Dion, please don't post anything on social media about this tonight. We don't want anything distracting from Cassandra's big moment. Then they were gone. Marcus, who had stepped out when they arrived, came back in. His expression was dark. Please tell me you're finally done with them. I did not answer. I did not trust my voice. That evening, I lay in my hospital bed watching my family's Instagram stories in real time. It was like watching a movie about strangers, except the strangers were supposed to be my family. Cassandra posted a video of herself in a stunning designer gown. Most important night of my life. Thank you to everyone who believed in this vision. My mother appeared in a ballroom, champagne glass raised. So proud of my baby girl. My father gave a speech that someone recorded and posted. The caption read, "Richard Brennan, speaking on family values and being there for those who need us." The local news covered it. I found the article on my phone. The Brennan family, pillars of the Charlotte community, hosted a spectacular charity gala raising funds for children's hospitals. There was a photo of the three of them. My father in a tuxedo, my mother glittering in sequins, Cassandra radiant in the spotlight. The article quoted from Cassandra's speech. I learned from my parents that family means showing up, especially when it matters most. I read that line 5 times. Each time it felt like a knife twisting deeper. Marcus brought me real food around 8 o'clock, sneaking in a burger and fries because hospital food was inedible. He sat with me while I picked at the food, my appetite gone. "You watching their posts?" he asked quietly. "Yeah, you're torturing yourself, man." "I know." Around 11 that night, a nurse came in to check my vitals. She was older, maybe in her 50s, with kind eyes and gentle hands. She noticed I looked upset and asked if I was in pain. I broke. I told her everything. The whole story spilled out. The accident, the surgery, my parents at the gala, the 12-minute visit, all of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Honey, you almost died. What kind of parents choose a party over that?" "The kind I have," I said. She squeezed my hand. "You deserve better." After she left, Marcus turned to me. "So what are you going to do?" I had been thinking about it all day, all evening. Through every Instagram post and news article and champagne toast happening across town while I lay here with a hole in my body and a bigger hole in my chest. "I'm done," I said. Done seeking their approval. Done being the understanding one. Done waiting for them to see me. "You going to tell them that?" "No. That would give them a chance to defend themselves, to make excuses, to play the victim. I'm going to do something that will hurt them more." "What?" "I'm going to disappear." Marcus looked at me for a long time. Then he nodded. "I'll help you." At 11:45 that night, my phone buzzed with a notification. Family group chat. My mother had posted a message with a photo attachment. I opened it. The photo was professional, clearly taken by the gala photographer. My father, mother, and Cassandra, all in formal wear, posed together with the charity banner behind them. They looked perfect, like a magazine spread, like the ideal American family. The caption read, "The Brennan Three, our complete family, together for what matters." The Brennan Three. They had told the photographer that was their complete family. 3 people, not 4. They had excluded me from the family photo entirely. Not by accident, by design. I was not just neglected, I was erased. I took a screenshot, saved it, added it to a growing folder of evidence that I was compiling without really knowing why. Maybe I needed proof that I was not crazy, that this was really happening, that I was not being overdramatic. Marcus saw my face. "What now?" I showed him the photo, the caption. He swore viciously. "Dion, that's messed up." "Yeah. That's when you knew, right? That you were really doing this?" "Yeah. That's when I knew." I spent the rest of that night planning my disappearance, not out of anger, though there was plenty of that, not out of revenge, though that was tempting. I did it out of necessity, out of survival, because staying connected to people who could erase you so easily was not love. It was not family. It was slow poison, and I had finally taken enough. The next 2 days in the hospital passed slowly. I was moved from the ICU to a regular recovery room, which the doctors said was a good sign. My vitals were stable. The surgery site was healing without infection. Physically, I was recovering. Emotionally, I was planning. Marcus came by every day. We worked out the details of what I was calling my ghost protocol. First step was changing my phone number. Marcus set it up remotely, getting me a new number and a new phone plan. I kept my old phone active but never checked it. Let it collect their messages and calls in a void I would never visit. Second step was my address. I had been planning to move anyway. My lease was up in 2 months. Marcus contacted a realtor friend and found me a new apartment across town. I put down a deposit from my hospital bed. My family did not know the address of my current place, much less the new one, so that was easy. Third step was social media. I unfollowed my entire family but did not block them. Blocking would send a notification. Unfollowing was invisible. They could post whatever they wanted. I just would not see it. Fourth step was work. I contacted my HR department and had them flag my file. No personal information given out to anyone, family included. All inquiries directed to my supervisor, who I trusted and who knew the situation. I was building a wall, brick by brick, and I was doing it in absolute silence. 2 days after the gala, my parents and Cassandra finally came to visit again. It was mid-afternoon. They arrived carrying Starbucks cups and chatting about the gala's success. The event had raised $300,000. Cassandra was trending on local social media. The Charlotte Observer had written a glowing piece. They were riding high on their victory. My mother kissed my cheek. The gala was magical. Did you see the coverage? I made a non-committal sound. My father settled into the visitor chair. Your sister's really making a name for herself. We're proud. Cassandra scrolled through her phone, showing me comments and photos. Look at this one. And this one. Oh, this woman said I inspired her. They stayed 20 minutes. Most of it was them talking at me, not to me. When they finally left, my mother handed me a gift bag. Almost forgot. We brought you something from the gala. I looked inside after they left. It was leftover swag. A tote bag with Cassandra's event logo. A branded water bottle. A program from the night. Leftovers. That is what I rated. Marcus came by that evening. How'd it go? Same as always. They talked about the gala. Did they ask how you're doing? Not really. You tell them about moving? Nope. When you getting out of here? Tomorrow, if the doctor clears me. Where you staying? New apartment. Already signed the lease. Marcus grinned. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. The next morning, I was discharged. The doctor gave me strict instructions. No heavy lifting for 6 weeks. Physical therapy twice a week. Follow-up appointments. Watch for signs of infection or complications. I nodded and agreed to everything. They asked if someone was picking me up. Hospital policy. I could not leave alone. Marcus arrived with his truck. We loaded my few belongings. I changed out of the hospital gown into real clothes for the first time in 8 days. I felt weak and shaky, but also strangely free. I did not tell my family I was leaving. They assumed I would be there a few more days. Let them assume. Marcus drove me to my old apartment. We packed quickly. I did not have much. I had always lived simply. Clothes, books, my laptop, some furniture. We loaded everything into a rented moving truck in 3 hours. My new apartment was smaller but nicer. Second floor of a renovated building in the Elizabeth neighborhood. Hardwood floors, big windows, a fresh start. We spent the afternoon unpacking. Marcus ordered pizza. We sat on my new couch in my new living room and I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. My old phone buzzed occasionally in my pocket. I never looked at it. Marcus asked once if I was curious. No, I said. Whatever they're saying doesn't matter anymore. Over the following weeks, I focused on recovery. Physical therapy was brutal but necessary. My body had been through trauma and needed time to heal. I worked from home. My boss understanding and supportive. My coworkers sent cards and flowers. My actual family sent nothing because they did not know I had left the hospital. 3 weeks after my discharge, my mother left a voicemail on my old number. I did not listen to it, but Marcus did. He told me what it said. Honey, haven't heard from you. Hope you're healing up. We've been so busy with post-gala follow-up. Call us when you can. 4 weeks in, Cassandra texted my old number. Marcus showed me the screenshot. Dion, the gala coverage was amazing. Did you see we made the Charlotte Observer? Anyway, Mom's birthday is next month. We need to plan something spectacular. Ideas? 5 weeks in, my father called. Left a message asking about Thanksgiving plans. 6 weeks in, they finally noticed the silence. My mother started calling daily. My father tried calling my work number. The receptionist, who I had briefed, politely said she would pass along the message but could not confirm my schedule or location. 7 weeks in, they showed up at my old apartment. My former landlord, a friendly guy named Steve, told them I had moved. No forwarding address. They stood in the parking lot, confused and frustrated. Cassandra posted on Instagram. Nothing direct, but the subtext was clear. When people ghost you for no reason, sometimes the trash takes itself out. I saw the screenshot because Marcus showed me. I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, just nothing. 8 weeks after my accident, Thanksgiving was approaching. My mother sent an email to my work address. Marcus read it aloud. Dion, this has gone on long enough. Whatever we did to upset you, we're sorry. Please come to Thanksgiving. Family is everything. Whatever we did, we're sorry. No acknowledgement of what specifically they had done. No real accountability. Just a vague apology meant to smooth things over without addressing the actual problem. I did not respond. They tried coming to my office. I worked from home that day. My supervisor called to warn me they had been there. I thanked him and logged off early. 9 weeks in, my family was panicking, but they still did not understand why. 10 weeks after my accident, Cassandra got engaged. Her boyfriend Trevor proposed at a trendy restaurant downtown, Rose Petals. String quartet. Photographer capturing every moment. It was all over social media within minutes. My mother called my work line. Got my voicemail. I listened to this one because I knew it would be important. Dion, your sister is engaged. This is huge. We need you there for the engagement party in 2 weeks. Whatever silly grudge you're holding, you need to get over it. Cassandra needs her brother. Don't be selfish. Family shows up for each other when it matters. There it was. The complete lack of self-awareness. The word selfish. The demand that I show up for them when they had not shown up for me. I saved the voicemail. Added it to my evidence folder. Not because I planned to use it. Just because I needed to remember. Needed proof that I was not imagining their narcissism. The engagement party came and went. I did not attend. Did not send a gift. Did not acknowledge it. I heard through mutual friends that my family made excuses for my absence. Dion's been so busy with work. You know how demanding engineering is. Privately, they were furious. Cassandra posted a vague Instagram story. When people who are supposed to love you can't show up for your biggest moments, tells you everything you need to know about their character. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. November turned to December. Christmas was coming. My family escalated their efforts. They sent letters to my work, gifts that the mailroom staff graciously accepted on my behalf, and that I donated unopened. They cornered mutual friends, trying to get information. My father even tried using business connections to find my new address. I found out because a colleague mentioned that Richard Brennan had called asking questions. I thanked him for not sharing anything. Marcus told me I was driving them crazy. Your mom's called me 4 times this week. Good, I said. You enjoying this? No. But I'm not stopping either. Fair enough. 3.5 months after my accident, 3 days before Christmas, I was at home reading when my work phone rang. I kept it on for emergencies from my job. The number was local but unfamiliar. I almost did not answer. Something made me pick up. Is this Dion Brennan? Yes. This is Nurse Anderson from Carolina's Medical Center. We have you listed as an emergency contact for Richard Brennan. Has been brought in with a heart attack. Has in surgery now. Are you able to come? The world stopped. How bad is it? It's serious. His wife and daughter are here. They're asking for you. I sat there with the phone pressed to my ear, unable to speak. Sir? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Can you come? I hung up. For 10 minutes I sat frozen on my couch. My father was in surgery, possibly dying. My family wanted me there. This was the moment. The exact situation reversed. The symmetry was almost poetic. Marcus called. Somehow he already knew. Small town, Big networks. You heard? Yeah. What are you going to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to go. Hez still my dad. And the other part? The other part remembers bleeding out while they drank champagne. Long silence. If I go, I said slowly, it tells them that what they did was okay. That ill always come running no matter how they treat me. And if you don't go, maybe they'll finally understand how I felt. That's harsh, man. Is it? Or is it just consequences? Marcus did not answer. I made my choice. I did not go to the hospital. I did not call them. I let my phone remain silent, just like theirs did for me. I lay awake all night, questioning myself, doubting, wondering if I was being cruel. But I did not go. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. At 2 in the morning, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. How can you do this? Dad could die and you're not here. What kind of monster are you? After everything they've done for you. You're selfish and cruel and I never want to see you again. It was Cassandra, using someone else's phone to get through. I read those words. Selfish, cruel, monster. The exact words that described what they had done to me. The complete lack of irony was staggering. The projection was textbook. The inability to see the parallel was almost impressive. But it also freed me. She had handed me the exact language to describe their actions. She had confirmed that they would never, ever understand. I took a screenshot, saved it, and finally fell asleep with something close to peace. The next morning, I woke up and checked the news. No obituaries for Richard Brennan. That meant he had survived. I felt relief. I am not a monster. I did not want my father to die, but I also did not call or reach out. Around noon, Marcus texted. Your dad made it through. Heard from a mutual friend. Hez stable. I typed back a simple, good. Marcus asked if I felt guilty. A little, but not enough to change anything. That's growth, I guess. Or damage. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. 2 days after my father's heart attack, a certified letter arrived at my apartment. They had found my address. I did not know how, and I did not care. I almost threw it away without opening it. Curiosity won. The letter was from my mother, 3 pages, handwritten on expensive stationery. Her handwriting was neat and controlled, the same cursive she had perfected in penmanship classes 40 years ago. I made coffee and sat down to read. Dion, it began. I don't understand what we did wrong. Already, 4 words in, I could feel the denial. She described my father's heart attack in detail. How terrifying it was. How she thought she would lose him. How they rushed him to the hospital and she felt so helpless. When I tried to call you and you didn't answer, I felt so alone and abandoned. I had to read that line 3 times. Alone. Abandoned. She continued. How could you not come when your father was dying? Cassandra and I sat in that waiting room for hours with no support from you. The lack of self-awareness was breathtaking. She went on. We've given you everything. Paid for your education. Supported your career. Welcomed you into our home for every holiday. And this is how you repay us? Then, buried in the 3rd page, almost as an afterthought. I keep thinking about that night you were in the hospital. I know we were at Cassandra's event, but that was important too. You seemed fine the next day, so it worked out. You seemed fine the next day, so it worked out. I had coded twice on an operating table and she thought it worked out because I survived despite their absence. The letter ended with, Your father is asking for you. He wants to reconcile. Please call us. We're your family. Don't throw that away over whatever you think we did wrong. Whatever you think we did wrong. I set the letter down and stared at nothing for a long time. Then I got up, opened my laptop, and started writing my own letter. It took me 4 hours to get it right. I wrote and deleted and rewrote. I wanted it to be perfect. Calm, factual, unemotional. Not angry or accusatory, just honest. This is what I wrote. Mom and Dad, I received your letter. I'm glad Dad survived and is recovering. I truly mean that. You said you don't understand what you did wrong. Let me explain with a timeline. On the night of my accident, I was T-boned by a drunk driver at 9:15 p.m. I called you from the ambulance at 9:30. You didn't answer. I texted you. Been in bad accident. Going to CMC emergency. Please come. You texted back 15 minutes later asking if it could wait until morning because you were at Cassandra's Gala rehearsal. I texted again. Mom, I can barely breathe. Something's really wrong. I'm scared. You responded. Don't be so dramatic, Dion. Well, come by tomorrow. Cassandra needs us tonight. You understand? At 10:15 p.m., I was rushed into emergency surgery. My spleen had ruptured. I was bleeding internally. The surgical team worked on me for 4 hours. I coded twice. My heart stopped twice. The doctors brought me back both times. While this was happening, you were at dinner after the rehearsal. Marcus finally reached you at midnight. He told you I was in surgery and had coded. You said you couldn't leave because you were hosting the dinner. You said I would understand. You said Cassandra needed you. You went home and slept that night. You posted on Instagram about being exhausted but excited for the gala. You got a full night's rest while I was in ICU with tubes down my throat. You came to visit 12 minutes the next day. You talked about Cassandra's dress and the seating chart. You asked me not to post on social media about my accident because you didn't want anything distracting from her event. That night, you attended the gala. You posed for family photos. You told the photographer you were the Brennan Three. Your complete family. I wasn't invited. I wasn't included. I was erased. Now, 3 months later, Dad had a heart attack. You called me immediately. You expected me to drop everything and come. When I didn't, you felt alone and abandoned. Do you see it now? Do you see the parallel? I didn't stay away because I wanted Dad to die. I stayed away because I needed you to feel what I felt. I needed you to understand that actions have consequences, that people you love can decide you're not worth their time, that important events matter more than someone's life. You said in your letter that you don't know what you did wrong. You said I seemed fine, so it worked out. Mom, I almost died. I was alone and terrified, and I begged you to come. You chose a party. When Dad had his heart attack, I chose not to come. You called me selfish and cruel. You called me a monster. The irony is unbearable. I've spent 28 years being the understanding one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't make a fuss. I lowered my expectations so far that you thought it was acceptable to let me bleed out alone. You erased me from the family photo. You told me not to distract from Cassandra's big night while I recovered from emergency surgery. Then you called me selfish for not showing up to her engagement party. I don't hate you. I don't wish you harm. I hope Dad recovers fully and lives a long, healthy life. But I can't have you in my life anymore. You've shown me repeatedly that I don't matter to you unless I'm convenient. I'm done accepting that. I'm done waiting for you to see me. I'm done being the supporting character in Cassandra's story. I wish you well. I truly do. But from a distance, please don't contact me again. Dion, I printed the letter, signed it, and mailed it certified mail with signature required. Then I waited. Marcus came over that evening. We ordered Chinese food and watched basketball. During halftime, he asked, "You feel better?" "I feel free." "Think they'll get it now?" "Probably not. But that's not my problem anymore." 3 days later, I got confirmation that someone at my parents' house had signed for the letter. I imagined my mother opening it, reading it, maybe reading it again. I wondered if she would feel even a shred of recognition, if my father would see himself in my words, if Cassandra would understand why I had disappeared. Probably not. But I had said what I needed to say. I had drawn my boundaries in permanent ink. The rest was up to them. 1 week after sending the letter, my phone rang. A local number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. "Dion, this is Eleanor Hartwell." Eleanor, an old family friend. She had known my parents for 30 years, sat on charity boards with my mother, played bridge with them every Thursday. "Hello, Mrs. Hartwell. Please, call me Eleanor. Listen, I was wondering if you might have time for coffee. There's something I'd like to discuss with you." I almost said no, but something in her voice made me agree. We met the next day at a small cafe in Myers Park. Eleanor arrived precisely on time, impeccably dressed as always, her white hair styled perfectly. She got straight to the point. "Your mother showed me your letter. She was hoping I'd convince you to come back. I started to respond, but she held up her hand. I told her I couldn't do that, because everything you wrote was true. I blinked. Dion, I was at that gala. I saw your mother check her phone when you texted about the accident. I heard her tell your father that you were being dramatic. I almost left to check on you myself. I should have. I'm sorry. She stirred her coffee, not looking at me. Your family has always treated you as an afterthought. Everyone's seen it except them. Your letter might be the first time anyone said it plainly. Did my mother ask what she did wrong? Yes. I told her to reread your letter. She asked if I thought she was a bad mother. Eleanor met my eyes. I said, Patricia, you left your son alone while he was dying. What do you think? I felt something crack in my chest. Validation from someone who knew my family, who had seen it all, who could not be dismissed as biased or uninformed. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me. I should have said something years ago. We all should have. We watched them favor Cassandra and neglect you, and we said nothing because it wasn't our business. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. Don't let them guilt you into going back. They need to sit with what they've done. Maybe they'll learn. Maybe they won't. But that's not your responsibility. We talked for another hour. She told me stories I had never heard, times my parents had canceled on me that I had forgotten, moments of neglect that others had noticed, a lifetime of being overlooked, witnessed by someone who could confirm I was not crazy or oversensitive. When we parted, Eleanor hugged me. You're going to be okay, Dion. Better than okay. I believed her. My father recovered slowly from his heart attack. I heard updates through mutual acquaintances who did not realize they were feeding me information. He was in the hospital for 5 days, then home with strict instructions. Diet changes, exercise, medication, stress reduction. I felt glad he was alive. I felt no guilt about my absence. The two feelings coexisted without conflict. December passed. Christmas came and went. I spent it with Marcus and his family. His parents welcomed me like I was their own son. His mother made my favorite dishes. His father asked about my work and actually listened to my answers. His nieces and nephews dragged me into their games. This is what family should feel like, I realized. Warm, inclusive, effortless. My actual family tried reaching out twice more. An email from my father, brief and formal, saying he would like to talk when I was ready. A card from Cassandra with a generic apology that felt insincere. I responded to neither. January arrived. New year, new start. I got back to full strength at work. My project was thriving. My boss hinted at another promotion. My personal life was better too. I had started dating someone. Her name was Sarah. She was an architect I met through work. Smart, funny, kind. She had her life together. And when I told her about my family situation, she didn't push or judge. She just said, "That sounds really hard. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself." February brought a surprise. Sarah invited me to her family's home for dinner. I was nervous. Meeting the family always felt loaded for me. But Sarah's parents were wonderful. They asked questions and listened. They included me in conversations. They seemed genuinely happy to have me there. At one point, Sarah's mother asked about my family, where they lived, what they did. "We're not in contact," I said simply. "It's healthier that way." She nodded without prying, then said, "Well, you're always welcome at our table." Something in me healed a little bit that night. March came, then April. Life moved forward. I moved forward with it. My family made a few more attempts, texts from my mother's friends, passing along messages. A letter from a cousin I barely knew, asking what happened. Each time, I politely declined to explain. It's a private family matter, I would say. And that was true. The thing about going no contact is that people expect drama. They expect a big confrontation or ongoing conflict. The reality was quieter. I simply was not available. I had removed myself from their orbit and built a new life in the space where they used to be. May arrived with warm weather and blooming flowers. I was having coffee with Sarah at our favorite spot in Plaza Midwood when I saw her. My mother walked in with a friend I didn't recognize. She was laughing at something, looking relaxed and put together as always. Then she saw me. She froze. Our eyes met across the cafe. I felt nothing, not anger, not pain, not even awkwardness, just a mild sense of recognition, like seeing a stranger you once knew. After a moment, she walked over. Her friend hung back, clearly uncomfortable. Dion. My mother's voice was careful. You look well, Patricia. I kept my voice neutral. You too. The use of her first name shocked her. I saw it in her eyes. We've missed you. Your father asks about you. I hope he's staying healthy. My mother looked at Sarah, questions in her eyes. And you are? Sarah, understanding immediately, kept it simple. Nice to meet you. My mother turned back to me. Can we talk? Really talk? I considered, then said, I said everything I needed to say in my letter. I hope you're all doing well, truly. But we don't have anything to discuss. Her eyes filled with tears. You're really never coming back, are you? There's nothing to come back to. You made your choice that night at the gala. I've made mine now. I wish you the best. I stood. Sarah stood with me. We walked past my mother and out into the sunshine. Behind us, I heard my mother's friend asking if she was okay. Sarah squeezed my hand. That must have been hard. Actually, it wasn't. That's how I know I made the right choice. We walked to the park and sat on a bench, watching people with their dogs and children. You want to talk about it? Sarah asked. Not really. But thank you. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for a long time, comfortable in the silence, comfortable with each other. That evening, I reflected on the encounter. My mother had finally seen me living my life without her. She had seen me happy, healthy, with someone who cared about me. And she had realized that her absence had not destroyed me. If anything, I was better for it. The truth was, I had spent 28 years thinking something was wrong with me, that I was not enough to deserve their attention. I kept trying to earn love that should have been freely given. But the accident did not change who they were. It revealed it. They had been showing me all along who they were. I had just finally seen it clearly. Walking away felt like giving up at first, but it was not giving up. It was choosing myself. It was saying I deserved better. And I did deserve better. I deserved parents who showed up. I deserved a family who valued me. I deserved to be more than an afterthought. Since I could not have that with them, I built it without them. Spring turned to summer. Life continued its forward motion. I was thriving in ways I had never thought possible. Work was fulfilling. I was leading a major bridge renovation project that would serve the city for decades. My team respected me. My boss valued my input. I was making a difference. My relationship with Sarah was growing deeper. We talked about moving in together, about future plans, about building something lasting. My chosen family expanded. Marcus and I were closer than ever. Sarah's family had essentially adopted me. I had friends who showed up, who cared, who made time. The empty space where my blood family used to be no longer felt empty. It felt peaceful. But they were not done trying. In June, I received another certified letter. This time from my father. His handwriting was shakier than my mother's, probably still affected by the heart attack. I debated throwing it away unread. But curiosity got the better of me. Son, I've spent the last 6 months thinking about your letter, about that night, about everything. Your mother says I should apologize. Cassandra says you're being unreasonable. But I've been thinking about it from your perspective for the first time. You were scared. You were hurt. You called us for help, and we didn't come. I told myself at the time that the gala was important, that you seemed fine when we visited, that you would understand, but you weren't fine. And I didn't even ask. I don't know if you'll ever forgive us. I don't know if we deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that I hear you. I understand now what we did. I'm sorry, Dion. I'm truly sorry. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I understand that too. Dad, I read the letter 3 times. It was better than my mother's letter. More self-aware, more accountable. But it was still missing something. I called Eleanor. We had stayed in touch. She answered on the second ring. Did you talk to my father? She laughed. He called me last month, asked what he should say to you. I told him to be honest and take responsibility. Why? He sent me a letter. And? And it's better. But Eleanor, it doesn't change anything. An apology does not undo what happened. It does not erase 6 months of them trying to guilt me back without ever acknowledging what they did wrong. You're right, so what will you do? I'm going to respond, not because I want them back in my life, but because I need to close this door completely. That night, I wrote my final letter. Dad, thank you for your letter. I appreciate that you're trying to understand. You said you don't know if I'll ever forgive you. The truth is, I've already forgiven you. Not because you apologized, but because holding on to anger was hurting me more than it was hurting you. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I can forgive you for what happened and still choose not to have you in my life. Those are two separate things. You said you understand now what you did. I hope that's true. I hope you and Mom can learn from this. I hope you can be better for each other, for Cassandra, for yourselves. But I can't be part of that process. I've built a good life without you. I have people who show up for me, who value me, who make me a priority. I'm happy, Dad. Genuinely happy. I don't need you to fix things. I don't need closure from you. I already have it. I wish you health and peace. I hope your recovery continues well. But this is goodbye. Take care of yourself, Dion. I mailed the letter and felt the last thread of connection dissolve. Sarah asked me how I felt. Free, I said. Finally, completely free. July brought my 29th birthday. Sarah threw me a surprise party. Marcus was there. Sarah's family came. My coworkers showed up. We grilled on Sarah's parents' deck, played yard games, laughed until our sides hurt. At one point, I looked around at all these people who had chosen to celebrate me, and I felt overwhelmed with gratitude. This is what I deserve, I thought. This is what everyone deserves. August came. Marcus got engaged to his girlfriend Amy. He asked me to be his best man. I said yes immediately. We're planning a spring wedding, he said. You and Sarah can sit together. She's basically family anyway. She is. I agreed. You all are. September arrived with cooler weather and changing leaves. I was at my desk when my phone rang. A number I did not recognize. Hello? Is this Dion Brennan? Yes. This is Jennifer Mills from Charlotte Magazine. I'm doing a piece on notable young professionals in the city. Your name came up. Would you be interested in being interviewed? I was surprised but flattered. Sure, I can do that. The interview took place the following week. We talked about my work, my projects, my vision for sustainable infrastructure. It felt good to discuss things I was passionate about. Near the end, the journalist asked about my family. I understand your father is Richard Brennan, the developer, and your sister Cassandra is quite active in charity work. Do you work with them at all? No, I said simply. We're not in contact. Oh, can I ask why? It's personal. But I will say that family is who shows up for you. Blood relation is just genetics. Real family is chosen. She wrote that down word for word. It ended up being the pull quote for the article. When the magazine came out in October, Marcus sent me a photo. There I was, full-page spread, talking about infrastructure and chosen family. My phone buzzed with congratulations from friends and colleagues. Sarah framed the article and hung it in her apartment. I wondered if my parents saw it. If Cassandra did, if they read the quote about family being chosen and felt anything. I hoped they did. Not out of spite, but because maybe, finally, they would understand. November came, a year since I had disappeared from their lives, a full cycle of seasons without them. Marcus' wedding planning was in full swing. Sarah and I had moved in together. Work was going brilliantly. I was healthy, happy, whole. I thought about the man I had been a year ago, lying in that hospital bed, broken and betrayed. I thought about the choice I had made to walk away. Best decision of my life. The thing about toxic family is that everyone expects you to keep trying, to forgive, to make it work, because they're family. But nobody talks about the cost of staying, the slow erosion of self-worth, the constant disappointment, The way you learn to make yourself smaller and smaller to avoid being a burden. I had spent my whole life making myself small for them. Going no contact, let me expand. Let me take up space. Let me be fully myself. I did not hate my parents. I did not wish them harm, but I did not need them either, and that was okay. Winter came around again. A full year had passed since my father's heart attack, 15 months since my accident, a lifetime since I had made the choice to disappear. The holidays arrived with their usual chaos. This time, I spent Thanksgiving with Sarah's family in their warm, noisy house filled with genuine love. Christmas was at Marcus and Amy's new apartment, all of us exchanging gifts and telling stories and building new traditions. I did not miss my blood family. I did not wonder what they were doing. That part of my life was truly over. In January, I got promoted again. Senior project manager, corner office with a view of uptown Charlotte, a salary that reflected my value, recognition for my work. Marcus threw me a celebration dinner. Everyone came. Sarah gave a toast that made me tear up. You're one of the good ones, Dion. Don't ever forget that. February brought Marcus and Amy's wedding. I stood up as best man and gave a speech about friendship, loyalty, and the families we build by choice. There was not a dry eye in the room. At the reception, Sarah and I danced. She looked beautiful in a blue dress that matched her eyes. You thinking about this for us someday? I asked. Maybe, she said with a smile. You going to ask properly? When the time is right. We swayed to the music, surrounded by people who loved us. And I felt complete. March arrived with cherry blossoms and warm breezes. Sarah and I were having coffee at our usual spot when Eleanor called. Dion, dear, I thought you should know. Your mother reached out to me yesterday. Oh? She wanted me to pass along a message, that they miss you, that they hope someday you might reconsider. What did you tell her? I told her that you've moved on, that you're happy, that maybe she should focus on appreciating the family she has left instead of mourning the son she took for granted. Eleanor was silent for a moment. She cried, Dion. I think she finally understands what she lost. I felt a flicker of something. Not quite sympathy, but not quite indifference either. I hope she finds peace with it, I said. I really do. After I hung up, Sarah asked what that was about. I told her. How do you feel? Sad for them, but not guilty. They made their choices. I made mine. We all have to live with the consequences. Sarah kissed my cheek. You're a good person, you know that. I'm trying to be. April brought an unexpected encounter. I was at the grocery store when I ran into Cassandra. She was in the produce section, looking at avocados. When she glanced up and saw me, she froze. Dion. Cassandra. We stood there for a long moment, the distance between us measured in more than just feet. You look good, she said finally. Thanks. You too. I heard you got promoted. Congratulations. Thank you. Another silence. I read your article, the one about chosen family, and I think I understand now. Why you left. Do you? She looked away. I was selfish. We all were. We took you for granted. I finished my shopping, went home, and told Sarah about the encounter. How do you feel? She asked. At peace. I think that was the closure I needed. She finally sees it. Whether she does anything about it is up to her. Summer arrived in full force. Sarah and I talked seriously about getting engaged. I met with a jeweler, looked at rings, planned a proposal for the fall. Work continued to challenge and fulfill me. I was mentoring younger engineers, contributing to my field, making a difference. My chosen family grew. Sarah's cousin became a close friend. Marcus and Amy were expecting a baby. My co-workers included me in their lives. I thought about Dion from 15 months ago, lying broken in that hospital bed. I wanted to tell him that everything would be okay. Better than okay. That walking away from people who did not value him would open space for people who did. In August, on a perfect evening with the sun setting over Lake Norman, I proposed to Sarah. She said yes. We cried and laughed and called everyone we loved. My phone did not ring with congratulations from my parents or sister. I did not expect it to. I did not miss it. September brought wedding planning. Sarah wanted a small ceremony. Just close friends and family. The people who mattered. Her mother asked gently if I wanted to invite my parents. Give them another chance. No, I said. This day is for celebrating love and family. Real family. The people who show up. My parents lost the right to be there. She hugged me and said she understood. October arrived with falling leaves and cool air. I thought about Eleanor's call from months ago, about my mother finally understanding what she lost. I hoped she had found some measure of peace. I hoped my father was staying healthy. I hoped Cassandra was learning to be less self-centered. But those were their journeys, not mine. My journey was about building a life worth living, about surrounding myself with people who valued me, about learning that I deserved better than crumbs of attention. I learned that blood does not obligate you to accept mistreatment. That family is not who you are born to, but who shows up. That real love does not need to be earned through perfect behavior or quiet acceptance. I learned that setting boundaries is not cruel. It is necessary. That silence can be the loudest form of self-respect. That walking away from toxic people, even family, is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. I learned that forgiveness does not require reconciliation. That you can wish people well from a distance. That closure comes from within, not from others. Most importantly, I learned that I was worth more than being an afterthought. That I deserved to be a priority. That my needs, my pain, my life mattered. My parents wanted me to come back on their terms, with them never having to truly face what they did. But real reconciliation requires accountability. Without that, it is just pretending the wound never happened while it festers underneath. I chose healing over pretending. I chose myself over their comfort. I chose a future where I was valued over a past where I was not. On a crisp November evening, exactly 15 months after my father's heart attack, I sat on the couch in the home I shared with Sarah. Our home, filled with photos of people who loved me, memories of moments that mattered, proof that I had built something real and lasting. Sarah curled up next to me. What are you thinking about? How far I've come, how different my life is now. Better? So much better. Any regrets? I thought about it honestly. No, not about leaving, only about not leaving sooner. She squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. Thank you for being part of my chosen family. Always. We sat in comfortable silence, and I felt grateful. Grateful for the accident that forced me to see clearly. Grateful for the courage to walk away. Grateful for the people who filled the space my blood family left behind. They say you cannot choose your family, but I learned that you can choose whether they stay in your life. You can choose to stop accepting less than you deserve. You can choose yourself. My parents taught me what family should not be. Marcus, Sarah, Eleanor, and everyone else showed me what it could be. That is the legacy I will carry forward. Not the pain of being neglected, but the joy of being valued. Not the wound of betrayal, but the strength of boundaries. Not the emptiness of their absence, but the fullness of chosen love. I am 29 years old. I am engaged to someone who sees me. I have friends who show up. I have work that fulfills me. I have a life I built from scratch, brick by brick, on a foundation of self-respect. I am happy. And that, more than anything else, is the best revenge. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I wanted to save myself. I did save myself. And in doing so, I learned the most important lesson of all. You teach people how to treat you. I finally taught mine that I was worth more than an afterthought. They never learned that lesson, but I did, and that is what matters. So if you are reading this and you have family who takes you for granted, who makes you feel small, who treats you like an option while demanding you treat them like a priority, know this: you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to build a family from the people who actually show up. Blood relation is just genetics. Real family is chosen, and you deserve to be chosen. Never forget that. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who did not respect you? How did you find the courage to choose yourself? What does chosen family mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who is struggling with the same decision. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about real-life challenges and the courage it takes to overcome them. and share this with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to choose themselves, even when it is hard. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gave you something to think about, and maybe even permission to make the hard choices that lead to a better life. Take care of yourselves. Choose people who choose you. And remember, you are worth so much more than you have been accepting. Until next time.